This is where I actually recommend that they think twice about what they put online. And if you're going to be vulnerable, and if you know that someone out there is just going to be brutal and exploit your vulnerability, and you're literally laying your heart bare, and someone's just going to come and stab you, it just don't do it. And I don't know if I've been talking about extremes this whole time, but I've just not seen successful moderated use of social media or curbing of trolling and hateful comments. And I talk to children about cyber footprints, anything that you put online stays online, whether it's a photograph or something that you're sharing, and even if you delete it, they're electronic copies, it's out there, people can talk about it, it'll make you feel worse. I used to, by the way, share a lot of my own personal stuff online, I used to be very vulnerable. If I was having a bad day, I remember just writing about it on Instagram. Then I was like, what am I doing? And it just defeated the purpose. I mean, I would much rather now go into some level of introspection, reach out to people who I know care about me in my reality rather than my cyber reality. And I think that would be more appropriate. I just feel that this entire online community, which they feel that they have to belong to, it just becomes the driving force behind their existence. So that means curating a gallery where perfection in what you look like, what you're wearing, where you're at, who you're with, and just projecting that out becomes so important and so pivotal that it just consumes them. Like Shahzad said, there's no difference between your cyber self and your real self.
But can you cite a couple of examples? Students might have come to you, obviously in conference, and you thought this is a serious case of.
I mean, with regards to Instagram and to itself, there was just a girl that was completely excluded from, let's say, she would follow people's Insta stories where they were having parties or they were going out, and excluding her. This was her group of friends, or everybody was out, shopping or looking great with the Insta filters. She was very insecure about her acne, and just how all of that was perpetuated with this constant feed that she was being given of perfection, which she felt she couldn't meet or she couldn't, and it was very, very upsetting for her. And in fact, with regards to just exclusion and feeling isolated in general, or feeling that, all right, someone's just posted an Insta story of a fabulous breakfast and my anda toast is nothing in comparison, so what is my life? Or being stuck at a So that is something, and just not being present in your here and now, not being satisfied with what you have, this constant feeling of, like you said, of missing out. It's very common in young people now, what I've seen. The species that is the Instagram model and the influencer, unfortunately what you've done is you've turned around and talked about how a certain very material driven lifestyle or your physicality is all that you're worth. And I think that message too in young kids that I see really screams out and fuels their depression and their anxieties that have come through. And it's that constant, my physicality is the only thing that will get me validation. If I live a certain life or drink this latte or post this avocado toast or whatever it is, it's the only thing that will make me relevant. It is the only thing that will make me loved. And that is what is so upsetting, because there's no authentic self left. There's just this curated gallery of what one ought to be. Making yourself numb to all of this is emotionally taxing, and you shouldn't have to do that. And on the spectrum of human emotion, strained interpersonal relationships, or constantly responding to hate or snarkiness or insightful malicious comments, they do take a toll on your mental well-being, and they do affect you. And I guess, and what I tell children or people who come to me with issues regarding cyberbullying, like the first thing we tell them to do, especially children, is disengage, disconnect, block, don't respond, don't even open that window. Don't, because those words will get scarred into your head, or you have this unfortunately thing online that you constantly might just go back to, and it might open up all your vulnerabilities and insecurities. So don't engage with them, block and delete, tell an adult, but for you, obviously, as a public figure, I'm baby.
I'm baby, it's a Twitter thing.
But I would honestly, I do feel just engaging with them is kind of making their purpose, is fulfilling their purpose, which is this ego trip, which is this senseless power game. I think what's very important is to make them aware of just how damaging and constant this negative and toxic presence can be. And I actually, with the younger kids, I go in and I'm just like, you know, if you're being bullied in school, in the classrooms, in the corridors, in the bus, like imagine this dark shadow just straddling your shoulders. But once you take that to the internet, I mean, that demon has followed you and is watching you sleep, is under your pillow, is at the dining table, is all around you. You know, you're constantly getting feedback. And I remember this one case where this 14-year-old was literally in a WhatsApp group with his class fellows, and he was waking up to kill yourself and falling asleep to go kill yourself every day. And you know what? He tried. He eventually did try. Or there'd be situations where he'd be invited to a party, be beat up, and then go back home.
This is what site? This is what was
This is a fellow student that I was dealing with, a 14-year-old
And
case.
it was through an app or something? What was
No, this was on WhatsApp.
Okay.
It was WhatsApp, and his class fellows were actually doing this to him. And you know, it was the most upsetting thing I've ever heard. And you know, inviting him to a gathering, physically assaulting him, and then him going home, or inviting him to a gathering and then throwing him out of the WhatsApp group, so isolating him, you know, excluding him completely. And now he is seeking professional help. But all of this, they're actually tools to torture someone. And if someone doesn't know how to disengage, and there's this deep sense of wanting to belong when you're an adolescent, and you know, you might be going through puberty or turmoil and all of that, but there is this longing to just be seen and to define yourself. And if you're trying and being rejected again and again, and those messages are negative and toxic and are constant, it really takes a toll. So what I'm trying to do through Bully Proof is not only make people aware of how leaving a toxic comment on someone's social media page can actually be very, very damaging, but also trying to train educators and parents as to what preventive mechanisms they can take, or preventive measures they need to ensure in their schools and at home in order to, you know, safeguard their children. Some parents are just disconnected with regards to technology that their kids are using. So I think the first thing, I mean, what I talk to parents about is, you know, you can monitor your child's online activities, and you should. And if you find out that your child has behaved in an unethical manner, and maybe you should actually have a conversation about internet ethics. And I think that should also be incorporated into schools and lesson plans. Like, there is a certain decorum and a way that you should behave and respond online. I also feel that if you find out that your child has misbehaved or is acting inappropriately online, I'm all for like taking away their devices. I'm all for that. I'm all for letting the child realize that it is harmful. It is as bad as throwing a punch or slapping someone in the face if you are acting inappropriately online. And I do feel parents need to be aware of who their children are talking to or who they're befriending. I think it's all part of the safety and security measure. And unfortunately, maybe it is because of an age gap or a lack of know-how with regards to the internet, but I do feel that it is the parents' responsibility to bridge that gap, absolutely.